Hi, everybody. Lynn Burkhead sitting alongside Mr. Todd Faircloth of Jasper, Texas, down in Sam Rayburn Country in southeast Texas, one of the great bass lakes in the history of the United States. And Todd, you kind of grew up cutting your teeth down there in Sam Rayburn, Toledo Bend Country. And when you were doing that, when you were growing up in southeast Texas, obviously you had great fishing because for years, decades, Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend have been about as good as lakes get anywhere in the country. So you had access to good bass fishing. Did you ever dream that you'd be at the upper echelons of professional angling?
I always thought it was cool. I can remember as a kid watching the professional anglers on the fishing shows, and thinking, man, that'd be cool to do that for a living. But I never dreamed or thought in a million years that I would be, doing this for a living. And I'm going on, I think, 14 or 15 years now doing this full time as a professional angler. So it's been good to me. It's been really, really fun, and I'm constantly learning, and hopefully I can keep it going for another 15 or 20 years.
Well, you're one of the nicest gentlemen out there on the tour, and I've always enjoyed the times that I've been able to interview you. And because you're Texan and I'm a Texan, although we come from different parts of the state, I've always followed your career. And I was very pleased when Major League Fishing came onto the scene back in the fall of 2011 at Lake Amistad, that Todd Faircloth was there. And you were there because one of the guys who was one of the original ones couldn't be there and had to sit the tournament out, and you were an alternate and you were able to participate. So I want to go back and ask you, obviously back then, you'd never heard of Major League Fishing.
I didn't.
What made you decide to come to Lake Amistad?
Well, fishing's great that time of year in the first place. But I got the call to come. Didn't really know what I was in for. I knew a few guys that were in from the beginning of it, and they kind of encouraged me to come and try it out. And boy, I didn't know what I was getting myself into though. And I knew after that first event, doing that first event at Amstead, I knew that they had something special. They had something different. They had a different format. They had a different style. It was a different flow, and way different intensity level. When you're out there on the water and you're competing, it's just knowing where you're at every 15 minutes, getting that score tracker update, and it's just, you're behind, you're ahead, you're gaining momentum, you're falling back, and in the regular tournaments that we do, we don't have a clue. We either think we're doing okay, or we think we're doing poorly, or we think we're doing real good, but you don't really have a way of gauging yourself, and that's the biggest difference between the regular events we do and the MLF format.
So when you had the you had the opportunity to participate there in the very first event, and then you got to watch it kind of unfold over the next 2 or 3 years, were you thinking all along the way, gosh, if I ever get a chance to get back to that, I'm going to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. When I got the call to participate in the MLF selects, I really, really wanted to understand, what was going to be different about it from the MLF, but I was definitely on board, and I wanted to feel that exhilarance again, and I feel like from a TV format, MLF have something that's different from the rest of them, and working the boat shows and stuff, and just talking with the general public about MLF. I got a lot of feedback from that Amistad tournament.
Did you was it a little bit of feedback, or was it a surprising amount of feedback?
It was a surprising amount of feedback, and I happened to be, I caught them really, really good in the first round, the last period, flipping hydrilla in Lake Amistad. So they got to see that in action, and it was a lot of fun. And I come from way back and moved up a bunch and made the second round. But it was just hearing people talk about it and feeling their excitement towards the show. They're genuine about it, and they're like, man, I really enjoy watching that. I like the format. I like seeing the guys dissect the lake, that they haven't been on. They're practicing, but they're fishing a tournament at the same time, and you get to see the guys go through the different bait process, the different depth range process, and that's what's intriguing to me as a professional angler and as to the general public. Just the average weekend angler.
You've had a unique position because you were at the first tournament and you saw that unfold, and yet the game has continued to evolve a little bit over the last several years. And when you come here, there's one big glaring difference to me. When you went to Lake Amistad, you knew where you were going. You had ideas about Lake Amistad because you had fished there before. You kind of knew what to expect and what you were going to do. It wasn't that you didn't know what zone you were going to fish in, but you knew which lake and you knew the time of the year, and it wasn't a shock to your angling system. This one, you showed up to a hotel and they said, get in the truck in the morning and we'll take you to where you're going and you'll know when we pull into the parking lot. That's pretty radical.
When I showed up to Muskogee, I'm thinking Arkansas River. I'm thinking Fort Gibson, and we get in a truck at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking to myself, why are we leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning, if we're fishing Arkansas or Fort Gibson, Well, we start going, and I'm thinking, well, maybe they have to have time to do the TV stuff before we get on there, and everything. But we keep going, and we go past the Arkansas River, and then we miss our turn off to Fort Gibson, and we keep going east, and we drive, and we drive, and we drive, and I'm thinking to myself, I asked my official, I said, we're going to be in Arkansas before long here, man, But, it definitely threw me a loop, and, I was definitely, I geared my tackle towards dirty, shallow, muddy water, and we got to over there to Lake, where were we, Tenkiller? Lake Tenkiller, and boy, was I in for a rude awakening. It was deep, clear water, and I ended up catching them on a spinning rod and reel on a little Strike King finesse worm on a shaky head, and I almost didn't bring that setup with me. I'm like, I don't need that, and luckily I brought it because that's what survived me.
I've always described it like this: it's fishing by the seat of your pants, almost, and that may not make sense to anybody that's watching this, but to you guys, I think it makes perfect sense in this format because all of your comfort, all of your knowledge, every advantage you might bring to the table is taken away from you, and it becomes your intuition that takes you forward.
You're taken out of your comfort level. When we go to an event, just say a normal professional event that we fish, we know what lake we're going to. We have a 30-day off limits period on them, but we know what lake we're going to. We can do background history stuff, general information to get an idea of what we're going to be dealing with.
You can get a little dialed in.
Yeah, you can get a general information, but like you said here, you don't have a clue, and you have to be prepared for everything. And I'm this one taught me a big lesson. Be prepared for everything. You've got to bring shallow water baits, muddy water baits. You've got to bring deep water baits and clear water baits, and you've got to bring everything in between that as well, because you don't know what you're going to be faced with. And the biggest trouble I had, was I get asked, what about the 30-minute timeouts you get? Do you like it? Yeah, I like it, but I'd like for it to be an hour long, so I could kind of sit down and do my tackle and all that. But it's definitely what you're talking about. You're definitely fishing by the seat of your pants. Absolutely.
I got to ask you about this because Commissioner Don Rux laughed yesterday evening and made the comment that the group you were in the first round set a new world record for Major League Fishing penalties on the day. And that's something that's kind of changed a little bit since you were there at Amistad. It wasn't that there weren't penalties, but it's been ratcheted up a little bit with like fish care. You can't swing the fish into the boat, drop it on the carpet, can't swing it into your body. Fish care is a premium. If you do any of those things, you're going to go to, as they say in hockey, you're going to the sin bin.
Me and Odd ate dinner together last night, and he said, "How many penalties did you get?" And I said, "Man, the first fish I caught, I got penalized twice. He hit the carpet, and then I threw him over the gun of the boat, and it wasn't even a keeper. It was a keeper. So I'm like, boy, that's salt in the wound. But I think Ott holds the record for the most penalized yesterday, though. I think he got like 10 or 12 or something. I got quite a few, but once I got it down, you know, because my official, he was very stern. He didn't miss anything, you know. So, but you definitely feel like a knucklehead sitting there not being able to do nothing because you threw a fish over the gun on the boat.
Well, Todd Faircloth, you're one of the best guys in the business. We're glad to have you back in Major League Fishing.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man.
Todd Faircloth, Southeast Texas boy, Jasper, Texas. He's a Major League Fishing angler. If you want to learn more about Major League Fishing, the anglers, the techniques, the tournaments, anything to do with MLF, go to MajorLeagueFishing.com.